Hi everyone. Today's story comes from the Old Testament. This is the story about David, a young boy, Jesse's youngest son, and what he does when he visits his brothers who are part of the Israelite army. Now, David has a very important part to play in this story, even though he was very young, and that's because of his faith in God. Let's find out what happens in the story.
A long time ago, the Israelite army had an enemy, the Philistines, and the Philistines gathered their armies for war. They took their positions. The Philistines controlled one hill, the Israelites controlled the other hill, and there was a big valley between them. Now, the Philistines had a champion fighter, and his name was Goliath. He was about 9 feet tall. Every day he would come out of the Philistine camp with his bronze helmet on his head, wearing a coat of scale armour, bronze protectors on his legs, and a small spear of bronze tied on his back. The officer who carried his shield would walk out in front of him, and each day he would stand and shout to the Israelite soldiers, "Why have you taken positions for battle? I am a Philistine, and you are Saul's servants. Choose a man and send him to fight me. If he can fight and kill me, we will become your servants. But if I defeat and kill him, you will become our servants." Then he said, "Today I stand and dare the army of Israel. Send one of your men to fight me." Now, when Saul and the Israelites heard these words, they were all very afraid. They didn't know what to do. He was 9 foot tall. Who would be able to beat a giant like that? So this is an unlikely looking hero. This is David, son of Jesse. Jesse had 8 sons. 3 of them, the oldest ones, were with Saul in the Israelite army. But David, being the youngest, stayed in Bethlehem and looked after the family's sheep. Well, one day, Jesse asked David to take some food to his brothers on the front line and to find out how they were doing. So off David went. When he got there, he saw that all of the Israelite army were getting ready in their battle positions, standing on their hill. And on the opposite hill were the Philistines, also getting ready. David's brothers were angry that he'd come. They thought he was just here to watch the fight. What could he do to help? But while David was standing there, that was when Goliath came out again that morning. He said, "Send somebody to me so that I can fight them. And if I win, all of you will become our servants." David couldn't believe that this man dared stand up and say these things against Israel. Wasn't Israel's God amazing, powerful? The strength behind the whole army? Well, David said to all the people around him, "Why won't anybody go and fight? Surely our God will protect our people." But nobody dared go. So David went to the king. He said to him, "I will fight Goliath. I know that Goliath will be killed because he is standing against the armies of the living God. The Lord has saved me from a lion and a bear when I've been watching my sheep. He will save me from this Philistine." Now, Saul was very grateful and was hoping that David was right. He tried to give David all of his armour and weapons, but they were too big and too heavy for a little boy like David. Instead, David took all of the things off, took his stick in his hand, and chose 5 smooth stones from a stream. He put them in his pouch, and then he went to meet Goliath. Goliath couldn't believe the person that they had chosen to fight him. He looked at David, and all he saw was a weedy boy. But David said to him, "I come to you in the name of the Lord of heaven's armies. He's the God of Israel. You've spoken out against him, and today I will be able to kill you." As Goliath came near to attack him, David ran quickly. He took a stone from his pouch. He put it into his sling and slung it, and it hit the Philistine right in the middle of the forehead and sank into it. Goliath fell face down on the ground. So David defeated the Philistine with only a sling and a stone. He didn't even have a sword in his hand. And the Philistines turned and ran.
For our craft today, you'll need some paper. It could be wrapping paper, or we've used brown packaging paper, scissors, sellotape, 5 stones, just like David had in the story. We found ours on a walk, and either some acrylic paint or some permanent marker pens. We're going to take our piece of paper and we're going to fold the 2 sides in so they meet in the middle. Fold it nice and neatly and then put a little bit of sticky tape to keep it in place. When you've secured that with tape, we're going to fold the bottom part slightly up. This is going to be the base of the bag, so make it as wide as you think you need. Unfold the bottom of your bag again and then push the sides in so that it folds to make 2 triangles. Make sure you press them nice and flat. Now we're going to fold the bottom half up to the central line and fold the top half so it meets and overlaps. You need to then secure that with sellotape. That's the base of your bag done. So now we're going to turn the bag over, and on the front you can write David's bag of stones. The bag's nearly finished. Now, if you lift it up and put your hand in, you can flatten out the bottom and then your bag will stand up. On each of our stones, we're going to write something that David had that meant he could defeat Goliath. So on our first stone, we wrote that he had God. God is really the person who defeated Goliath that day. And David had faith in God. He had strength. He prayed. And he wanted peace for all of the armies, all of the people of Israel. Have a chat with your family and see whether you can think of anything else that David had that meant he could defeat Goliath. And then your craft is finished. Put your stones inside your bag and think about how you could try and have those things to be brave and do the right thing like David.